Hey there, my fellow artists. Today I want to kind of have a little bit of artist to artist chat, if you will, painter to painter. And I want to kind of go over just like, I guess, sharing my journey as an artist because whenever I'm doing like painting classes with you guys or tutorials or other chats and things, I'm always referring to you guys as having like your own painting journey or like your own journey as an artist. And that's always my goal, is to help you improve and go further and get to that next step wherever you are on your own artist journey. And I'm saying that all the time. Well, what does that actually mean, right? So I thought maybe I would just share kind of some backstory, I guess, about myself, because I haven't really done that before here on my website or here on YouTube even before. So I want to kind of just like go over like how I actually got started painting, my roots, I guess, in doing just art in general, where I came from, how I got to the point where I am now. Because let me tell you, these like gorgeous paintings that I'm so proud of, these that you see behind me, this was not what things looked like in the beginning. 100%, 100,000% not the way it looked like in the beginning. And I think as a beginner, if you are a beginner, or just again, wherever you may be on your own artist journey, wherever you are, but especially as a beginner, it can be very like intimidating to like see stuff like this from someone else and being like, you're like, oh great, I'm never going to be able to reach that point where I'm proud of my work in that sort of way and kind of feel that it's up to par with some other artists that I'm seeing around. Like as a beginner, you guys, I totally get that. I was like that too, which is why I want to share my journey with you guys from the very beginning because I've been doing this for, oh my gosh, like I've been on Etsy for at least 8 years at this point, and I think I started painting way before that. So I almost want to say over, we'll just guess like 15-ish years that I've actually been practicing the art of painting. So don't expect to get like this on day one, right? Don't expect to get perfection. Don't expect to get your best painting that you're so proud of and to be the best ever. You can definitely be proud of your work on day one, and I think that's really important to see the value in wherever you are, again, on that artist journey. But just know that the best is yet to come, right? It's a journey. You're always going to be working. You're always going to be practicing, honing your skills, honing your technique. Even myself, like I know down the road a couple more years that I'm only going to get better with time. Like my work I know is going to get better and better because I put in the practice and the hard work every day. And I know looking back, like things are not as they were in the beginning. Definitely did not look like this in the beginning. It was, ugh, right? I have to really think back to the beginning of when I started painting. Because for me, and I know you guys can probably tell this because I have a baby face, I'm not really that old. So when I say I've been painting for over 15 years, I mean at least. I'm not the best with math, but I'm like, it's gotta be over 15 years because I actually started when I was in high school. And even before, like maybe middle school, high school, I started getting into drawing first, which I think is probably pretty common for a lot of artists. That we, a lot of times, especially if you are taking art classes or take art in school, whether it's, you know, high school level, college level, or just recreational off to the side, right? No matter where it is in your point now that you might have taken art classes or something, a lot of times in art classes, you're taught to draw before you can paint. And that's, you know, really common. Personally, I find that, we've talked about this before in a previous video, just a couple weeks ago actually, that I find you don't really need to be like pro level at drawing to get started painting. But again, that's like a topic for another time. But a lot of people, I think, do get into painting after they've already kind of dabbled in something like drawing. So I definitely know that I started drawing when I was like middle school, high school. So I'm thinking like 8th grade, 9th grade. Around then is when I started to really get into like art kind of more seriously, you know, more than just like stick figures and like, you know, doodles on the playground, that sort of thing. But like I'm saying, for me, it was very young. I started at a very early age, at least to me, that's a pretty early age. For some other people though, I know people sometimes don't get into art until they're, you know, outside of school, like beyond as an adult. Like, right? Let's be real. Sometimes as an adult, we pick up hobbies, which I think is so great. And I have definitely picked up like other hobbies aside from art on my own since I've graduated and since I've been an adult. Even though, again, I know I don't look like much of an adult. I know I look like I'm still in high school, but let me tell you, high school was over 10 years ago for me at this point. So thinking back, I did start drawing about middle school, high school. So I was probably about, what age was that? Like 13, 14 years old is about when I started. So at that point, I just started drawing. I was not into painting like at all. I wasn't even thinking about doing painting at that point. The thing is, for me, the thing that got me into art, and I feel like there's always, well, not always, but sometimes there is just a reason that gets you into it, whatever it might be. And for me, that reason was because I wanted to recreate pictures that I saw as art. It wasn't so much for me going out and seeing like art by other people and being like, oh, I want to try doing that or something. For me, it was more like I saw photos and I was like, wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be cool if I had the skill to make that photo somehow with art? Like, that was my mindset in the very, very beginning. And so that's when I started drawing, because I didn't even have paints to begin with. I just had like my school pencils and notebooks. So like that's literally how I got started with art. And usually the pictures that I would go to would be either like really pretty like scenes, like landscapes, like beach scenes or something that I would just kind of try my best to sketch out with pencil. Again, I was using like school mechanical pencils, which I still to this day always use mechanical pencils because that's just how I got started and that's how I really got the ball rolling with it, was mechanical pencils. So I always say to do your sketch in mechanical pencil, it's like go for it, like might as well. And then aside from like the landscapes and the pretty pictures and like, you know, just photography I was seeing like on Google or on Tumblr at the time, Tumblr was like my thing. I would always save things on Tumblr and be like, I'm gonna try to draw this later, even if it turned out maybe not so great. A lot of things I didn't keep in the beginning, I would just throw them away right away. Which is why I don't really have a lot of examples of this early time period to show you guys. I wish I did, but at the time, I was just not into the work, and I usually just was like practice and just throw it out. Like a lot of things I didn't keep, and if I did keep them, I am someone who like, I don't like keeping things. I'm not someone who likes to hang on to things for sentimental value. I'm very much a, like, things need to be neat and organized, and if it's not serving me a purpose in that exact moment as I'm looking at it, I'm gonna like take it off the wall and throw it away. I am like a perpetual throwawayer of things, and then there's a lot of times where I throw things in the garbage and then an hour later I'm like, I need to go back and retrieve that because I do need it for something. But I'm someone that like, I'm like constantly editing and organizing, and I'm just a neat freak like that. So I don't hang on to things like that typically. But I got to where in this point, past the landscapes and everything, I really got into drawing faces. And there was just something that kind of, pun intended here, drew me into drawing faces. And a lot of like the faces I would practice on would always be like my favorite celebrities. My favorite like pop stars, pop singers. But I would just sit down and I would take like an hour or so just to try to sketch. Would it always turn out that great? Maybe not. Like I said, in the beginning, I was not very satisfied with my drawing and my drawing skills. I do remember that, which is why as I got into high school, I did take a drawing class. And I was super duper excited to take the drawing class because I was like, finally, I'm gonna learn how to make everything super realistic and make it look just like the photo I'm looking at. And the way the drawing class was, well, before I even took the drawing class, I had to take like a prerequisite like intro to art class, which was, but I remember we did a lot of like in the intro class, it was 2D and 3D art. So there was a little bit of drawing, but only like 1 or 2 projects. A lot of it was more sculptural. I do remember that. So, and then I got into the drawing class and I had a different teacher and I really did like her a lot. And I took the drawing class and I remember I learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot. And I learned that drawing is actually really hard. Like, it's really hard and time intensive. And I don't want to say I didn't have the patience for it, but like, I do remember I don't want to say struggled, but I was still not seeing the result that I wanted to see. Like, my pictures that I was drawing still did not look like my reference pictures, right? I was still like, there's a disconnect here. It's not exactly working out as I want, but I did still really enjoy it. And I do remember I did one self-portrait in charcoal in that class, and I wish I still had. I'll have to search around to see if I can find it. But I remember we took pictures of ourselves. The teacher took our pictures and printed them off for us to use as reference photos for that. And I remember specifically that I hated drawing mouths so much that to take the picture, I just put my hand over my mouth like this. And I thought it would make it easier for me to draw the picture because I was like, now I don't have to draw a mouth because my hand is covering it in the picture. But then I remember I started drawing it, and then I found out I have to draw fingers and I have to draw a hand, and then I found out that basically the hand is like the hardest thing in the world to draw. And then I think I took like a couple trimesters off, so it might have been like the next year or something, is when then I did go in and I took painting, the painting class that was offered, because I think it was just because I had room in my schedule and I like needed another class, and I was like, well, I really like art, so I'll just take painting, I guess. Like, I wasn't actively seeking out to take the painting. I really wanted to take the drawing, and then when I was done with it, I was like, oh. I was like, that's it. I was still not super satisfied with my art, so at that point I kind of stopped drawing on my own too, which is, I mean, in hindsight that is kind of sad. I wasn't completely giving up on it or anything. I just, you know, other things go on, and I was just like, not really into it anymore after taking the class. That I was like, okay, I took the class, I guess this is the best I'm ever gonna get at this point, right? So I did take the painting class then after that, and that was like a game changer for me. Taking the painting class was everything. I loved it so much. And it was like, I don't know, this like switch in my head that as soon as I started taking the painting and we actually started working with paints, and it was like, the drawing class was actually a prerequisite for that class then, because yes, we were taught that you needed to know how to draw before painting, but only for like a preliminary, very basic sketch. It wasn't nearly as intensive as the drawing class. So this is like, okay, I already know how to draw, so I guess I can just do the basics and it won't look that bad, because then I'm gonna cover up the drawing with paint. A lot of the paintings at first were very simple. I do remember that. I remember doing a couple of different projects. I'm trying to think of what all, it's been a long time ago, you guys. And actually, yes, I am remembering now. I even had one pink, it was like supposed to be, we like, for our reference picture, we did like a close-up of a picture of flowers. And I remember I did some pink, like roses or something, and then you're supposed to recreate what you see as kind of like an abstract work of watercolor art. And I remember I did do that one. Everybody really liked that one. I remember my art teacher really liked it, and she did request that I put it in our, we had like an annual art show, and so I did have that one put in the art show. That was like my first art like ever on display. And this is where I say, this is kind of where I started painting, and this was over 10 years ago for me at this point, because I was still in high school. So when I say I've been painting for over 10 years, this is like, in my head, this is the timeline of when I actually started actually actually just painting it all. So again, at first, was my stuff absolutely perfect? No. And could I definitely do, like if I were to take the class again today or do the projects over again today, would they look a lot different? And in my eyes, would I feel more accomplished in how they look at the end? Absolutely. But at the time, I remember taking the painting class, and I remember with the projects, it was just so much easier for me than the drawing. And I don't know if it's something like, it's just like how my brain works or how my hands work or something, but I remember the painting was like so easy compared to drawing. I was like, I remember like even our first project, I think we were doing like a mountain landscape or something, and like the teacher would show us some parts, and then we would go back to our desk and do a little bit, and then we would come up and she would show us some more, and we did that for like a couple of days. And I remember we got to the end and she was like, okay, you're done. And I looked at it and I was like, that's it. I was like, I remember thinking to myself, this is all we have to do. Like, so that first project I think was definitely the one that I was like, oh, this is actually not that hard. And I remember also while I was working on it, I remember getting it done a lot faster than everybody, like all the other students that were around me. And I remember everybody else was like complaining and they were saying how hard it was. It was the shift from drawing to painting for me that was like, aha, like this is so much easier. And the more projects we did, I just felt so much more comfortable working with the paint. And it was just, again, it just felt like very natural to me. Like it just came to me very naturally. I don't know, it just came more naturally to me. I don't want to say the word natural talent because I have a problem with that, because when I say things about, or when people say like, oh, you're so talented or something, and then I think, well, then they're not thinking about all the practice that you put into it. And I think this about other people too, like, right, when people like you guys are looking to start taking painting classes either with me or elsewhere, or starting to learn how to paint, and you're thinking, well, there's no way because I don't have the natural talent, right? And I don't think that's true, because I genuinely believe anybody can learn to paint. I also believe that maybe for some people it might come a little bit more naturally, or you might feel more comfortable right off the bat, but I don't think that equates to like talent in itself, right? Like natural talent. Because like I said, would my stuff now look anything comparable to what I did in that class over 10 years ago? No. Like, my stuff then was still not perfect in my eyes, even at the time, but I just felt more comfortable with the paint, with the medium itself, if that makes sense. And again, do I have any examples of pictures from that class? I don't know if I do. But anyway, so after that is when I graduated from school, and then I did go into college. And when I started right after high school, I decided that I did want to try painting on my own, because I did enjoy it so much, and it did feel quite easy to me just compared to drawing, I think is what it was. So I remember then, I think it was like for Christmas or something, that my brother got me a paint set. He got me all the brushes, which some of them I still use to this day, and a brush holder. I still use the brush holder too. Some canvas, and then a lot of different paints that I requested that I would need, because of all the paints that we used in painting class. We only used the primary colors, burnt umber and raw umber, and that is still the way I like to paint to this day, and the way I teach my own students now, is those are the only colors you need, well, and white. So red, blue, yellow, burnt umber, raw umber, and white. 6 tubes of paint. In acrylics is all you need, because you can also make acrylics out of watercolor, which I actually didn't learn that trick in that class. I actually learned that after the class, just on my own. But then the thing that really started for me is when I started doing things on actual canvas, because then I was like, all right, I'm gonna fill this entire canvas and make it look just like the pictures that I see. Because then at that point, my goal for myself was I wanted to make my own paintings on canvas that I could hang around like my bedroom and look at and be really, really pretty to look at. So it was like pictures that I had saved probably on Pinterest, I'm assuming at this point. Probably on Pinterest, some photographs from people like other photographers and stuff. They might have been copyrighted, I don't know. But at the time, it was just artwork for me. I wasn't going to resell them or anything, so I wasn't too worried about copyrights at the time. Of course, now, as someone who sells my own art, I always make sure it's a complete original, or that it uses a royalty-free photo or something like that, or from a photographer that I personally know and have gotten permission to use it from. But at the time, I just had like a board on Pinterest of paintings, like photos that I found on Pinterest, that I was like, I'm going to recreate this entirely in paint, and you're not even going to tell the difference from the photo. And that became my goal for myself. So what I would do is I would freehand sketch with the drawing skills I learned all of these, and they were at the time like cityscapes. And I've learned over time with painting different things, different lands, you know, all the different things, cityscapes are the hardest. Like, yeah, it's really difficult. But those are the kind of pictures I wanted to see on my own walls. So those are like the challenge I gave myself, was like, all right, I'm gonna paint some of these like famous landmarks and like cityscapes of cities I'd like to visit someday, or, you know, that I wanted to hang around in my room. So I started out, my very first one was in Moscow, Russia. It was the St. Basil's Cathedral, and I painted this based on a photo that I had saved, and I made it exactly like the photo. It took me many, many days. I worked a little bit at a time on it, because at the time I was like used to still how I worked in painting classes in school, how we only had like less than an hour each day to work on it. So that's just what the time I gave myself each day. But that way I didn't really get burnt out on it. And again, I just completed a little bit of it each day until I finally got to the finished result. And then when I was all done with it, I took it and I showed some people, and they were like, oh, okay. And then I was actually really proud of that one. My first like full, just really big landscape, cityscape picture that I could put on my bedroom wall for myself, and I was really, really proud of that one. My second one that I did, I think, was the one I did of the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City. And this one was also a night scene, so I did the bridge. Again, I completely sketched it freehanded and painted it just a little bit each day, a little bit here and there, until I was ready to put it up on my bedroom wall. And what I specifically remember about this one is that the way I sketched it, I made one of the buildings crooked, like in the middle. It's a little bit off center, a little bit off kilter. You can't really, most people say if I don't point it out to them, they don't notice it. At least from what people I've shown have said that before. But personally, every time I look at this picture, that's all my eyes go to, is that one building in the center that's always a little bit crooked. But again, then I put that on my wall, and then I did two more. So I did one of a scene in Venice, Italy. Again, this was a picture that I got off of Pinterest. And I think the original photo either did or did not have these like lanterns hanging above the water. I don't know. I think I might have added those either myself, or I used another reference picture that like photoshopped them in, and then I kind of went off of that. So this might have been based off of two photos at once, which was a challenge. But again, this one's got like the little shadow of the little guy like pushing the boat down the water, and I just love the colors of this one, and I loved how pretty and how nice it turned out. So then I got that one on my wall, and then the last one I did for my wall, because I have 4 of them, is the picture of Paris. And this one is like one of my favorite pictures that I've ever painted, ever, because the colors just look so beautiful, so well put together. And I remember this one took a lot of time because there's a lot of buildings. But also at this point, with my practice with the other ones beforehand, is when I started to really figure out how to most efficiently go about painting the picture. So it actually didn't take me as long as I thought it would, because by this point I figured out how to break things up into sections and manage them a little bit better and faster. And then what I also like about this one, or at least what I liked that I did at the time, is I went like with the detailed buildings up to a certain point. You can see like not quite up to the horizon line, but up to a certain point with the Eiffel Tower and the focal point. And then from there on all the way up the rest of the canvas, I did a little bit more of blurred details and stuff, so I didn't keep it as detailed there, so I got it done a little bit faster by not adding in those super tiny strict details. Now, all of these paintings, to this very day, I still keep on my bedroom wall, and even though I've moved around a couple times since then, I always take them with me, and I always put them on my wall wherever I am. These 4 original pictures that I did, which is super duper special to me. And right now I actually have another picture in the center, which is a painting I did based off of my favorite movie scene of all time, the ending of Breakfast at Tiffany's. And this is a very special painting to me as well. I did this one a little bit later, after I'd already painted a couple other things, but again, it's on my wall now with all these other 4 pictures because I love it so much. And this was one of my first ones, as I started getting into actually painting faces and stuff, which is now actually my favorite thing to do, is painting faces and doing portraits. So after that initial practice, and again, those are like my 4 big canvas pieces that I'm really proud of from like that early time period of when I started painting on my own outside of school. I mean, I was still in college at the time, but you know, outside of actual school classes. And I actually did not take any additional art classes ever since high school. So I took a total of those 3 original art classes in school, just 1 painting class. That's all I ever took. All this rest of this work, and even like this work I've got behind me, I have done completely on my own. So of course I practiced over time and I've learned skills on my own. So one thing I always like to tell people, or at least people should know, is that you do not need to go to school specifically to learn how to paint, right? Some people sometimes think that because of the work I do now is that I actually went to school, like college, university, for art or for painting or something, for that type of degree, and I didn't. I actually went to school for an English degree. I did not take a single art class in school. I actually did most of my schooling online, so that would have been hard anyway. But while I was still in school, and specifically doing online school, is when we hit another milestone of me opening my very first, well, not my, it's still my Etsy shop. And the reason that I started my Etsy shop at the time is because everybody was pressuring me to start selling my work because I had so many pieces that I was starting to do on my own, that at this time, like my very first one that I think I listed for sale was Kim's Bridge, which is a picture that my sister-in-law Kim, as a semi-professional, or actually really a professional photographer, took while she was on vacation with my brother to, I believe it was Costa Rica in that one. She took this beautiful picture of this bridge, and I wanted to recreate it in paint. I've actually done it a couple of times since then because I love it so much, and I know other people have really come to love this picture a lot as well. I believe this is one I also entered into an art show at a library when I was living with my sister down in around Indianapolis. That I got that one up in the art show there, and I was super duper proud of that moment as well. And then I did later actually sell it on Etsy, but when I entered the art show, I think was right before I opened my Etsy shop, because this is when I was starting to show people my art, really show the world what I could do. That's when everyone was telling me, you need to start selling stuff, girl. Now, I've said this in other videos before. I feel like at the time, I feel like I was kind of rushed into starting to sell things. I don't think personally I was really ready yet. Because as an artist, and I talked to other artists at the time too, that were telling me, you know when it's right for you. You know when it's right for you to start selling pieces. Everyone else can say that you're really good and you really need to do this because you can make a lot of money at it, but ultimately the painting experience should be for you. So when I started selling stuff, I think it was a little bit early for me because, and again, I talked to another artist at the time and she told me that your first few pieces you need to keep for yourself, because ultimately at the end of the day, you're painting for yourself before anyone else. And that's a really important thing, whether you sell things or not, so that in the beginning, you really should keep a couple for yourself. You need to make paintings for yourself first, so that then you don't feel a detachment when you sell other pieces and give them to other people. You need to make some for yourself first, so that you feel whole and satisfied, and you can look at your art every day and feel proud of it before you start giving it away or selling it to other people. So at the time, I just had a lot of people telling me, pressuring me, people in my life that were saying, it's time, you really need to sell because you're really, really good. And I know they meant the best for me. And I am thankful for the pressure to get started with selling, because I don't think maybe I wouldn't have otherwise. But at the time it was a little bit early for me, because those first few pieces, I kept my original 4 for my bedroom walls. I said, I am not selling these. These ones are mine. Hands off. But after that, a couple more that I did, like just based on, again, pictures I took or pictures other people took. There's a bunch of them I can show here. That these are the ones that I originally first started listing on Etsy. I just think that even though I definitely had the skill and the practice under my belt to start like making high quality art that was very sellable, and I did start selling a couple. It took a while to get it rolling, you know? And actually my very first one was a resin piece that I did. I used to do these a lot. I haven't done them in a while because the resin is actually really expensive, but I saw like art videos online of people doing this and I was like, I could do that. I want to try it. And it is really fun to do. It's where you pour like a layer of resin, you paint a little bit on it, you pour another layer, you paint another layer on it, and you're like stacking these layers of resin and paint until you create something that looks like it's floating in glass somehow. The first ones I started doing were with fish. A lot of other artists have done this as well. I think there's even like sticker kits out there that you can get with like stickers and resin if you're not a painter yourself, that you can like put a sticker down, pour some resin, put another sticker down, and then you can like layer to make it look like a 3-dimensional fish or something that's floating in the water. So my very first piece that I ever sold was one of these fish, I guess, in a little metal tub that I had actually bought at Walmart to pour the resin in. And it was my very first piece, and it was overseas. My very first piece was sold overseas to someone in the UK, and I didn't know anything about shipping at the time, and it was kind of stressful because there was like things to do with like customs and tariffs and taxes, and I was like, it was a lot. I'm glad I got through it, but it was a lot for my very first order. And so I expected then after that every order to be that complicated with the shipping. But then after that was a lot of, you know, domestic US based shipping. and I found that it's a lot easier to ship within your own country. So, but again, then I started selling my own things, and I also, because I felt like kind of pressured to start selling things so quickly, I started looking at painting more as like a production thing, which is another thing I would advise other artists. If you are someone who's looking to start selling things, don't let it ever become a production mindset for you. Because I started getting into this mindset of, well, I've only got like 2 or 3 pieces on Etsy. I need to have like at least 10 to kind of start to be a little bit more successful. So there was that added pressure of like, I need to churn out more paintings, right? I need to produce more things, like manufacturing mode, which at the time was like, it kind of made me not enjoy painting as much. And I kind of started to loathe it for a little while. So also, incidentally, at the same time, I was going through a little bit of a difficult period for myself, mentally, physically. It was just not a good time period for myself, and I think the Etsy shop had to go on hold, right? It had to be put on pause for a little bit, and because at the time I was thinking of just producing paintings for production value and not for myself and for the enjoyment, I had to put painting on pause for like, I think it was like a year or 2. I just didn't paint anything for a long time because a lot of things were going on that was out of my control, and things even within my control was just not good for me, right? And the painting was no longer really that enjoyable. So I'm also sharing that with you guys because I want you to know, on your own journey as an artist, you will have ups and downs. And I've had both of them multiple times. But that was definitely one of my furthest downs. Because yes, I do kind of feel like if I would have waited to start selling my paintings, maybe I wouldn't have got burnt out so fast, and had that production mindset all of a sudden, and then losing the enjoyment of it. That's the thing for me that was really like, I gotta hit pause for a while because this is just not doing it for me anymore. Now, I did very thankfully get through that very rough period, not just for myself and my journey as an artist, but for my journey in life. And maybe we'll cover that in another like mental health related video later down the road. So if you guys want to hear more about that, maybe it's always very personal for me, and I don't like talking about personal things that much, but I might eventually if I think that it will help some of you, maybe. But then after that, at a certain point, I did come back to making paintings. I did slowly, very, very slowly, but surely get back into enjoying it again, and coming up with, it's the whole creative process is what I enjoy, and probably a lot of people like you do too. It's that enjoyment of finding something, being like, having a vision of like, I want to make this, and putting it into creation is very, very rewarding, I think, for a lot of people, and myself included. And I think that's what starting to very slowly, like little paintings, literally like one's probably this big, of like doing something small and being like satisfied with myself that, okay, I saw that through to fruition. I saw that painting come to life, even if it was very small or very simplistic. And getting that satisfaction, like a satisfaction loop back onto myself, then I think, okay, I could do that again, and I could do it a little bit bigger this time. Like motivating yourself to keep going and to keep, painting a little bit bigger, thinking bigger, right? And just get the ball rolling again. So I did eventually get back into painting again. I made a couple more different paintings, always kind of pushing myself a little bit more to do bigger and maybe better things and such. I think it might have also been around this period that I did my painting of my grandparents, which is one of my all-time favorite pieces as well. This was again when I started to really get into painting faces. This is like my painting faces phase is when I came back, because to me, I don't know, there's just something special about painting faces. And of course this was very special for me because it was a painting of my grandparents, and I did give it to them as a gift for Christmas, so I worked really, really hard on it. That, I don't know, it's just like maybe a human connection thing, or just, I don't know, something about like seeing someone's eyes as you put them on the page is just you know what I mean? I don't know, there's just something very special about that. And that's why I've always, when I was drawing, I was really into drawing faces. And now that I'm painting, it's like portraits are my thing. Like I can paint portraits all day, every day. And the more I do it, the easier it gets for me too, right? The quicker I can do it, for one thing. So if I get like requests from other people to do their portraits and stuff, I can knock them out a lot faster than I used to. And because I'm practicing over and over again, it's obviously going to get, each painting is going to get better with time because I'm going to learn more skills and techniques and just really hone in on my practice. So yeah, this is when I really started to enjoy painting faces, which I then took into creating my classic Hollywood series on Etsy, which I still have a couple pieces left from that on there right now. That these are like faces of like the classic Hollywood actresses that we all know and love. And of course I know and love because I'm really into these old movies and films and stuff. And that was like a really great way for me to practice paintings paintings of faces, just working on these. And again, it's just something I really enjoy. Now, bringing us even further forward in the timeline, or maybe it's, I don't know, forward. Then I got to a point where I did my first painting class online, which if you have not already checked it out, it was the Painting a Butterfly with a Spoon class. And I actually got this idea because I was looking to get a job at someplace local that would be painting, like hosting painting classes for people. And I did like a sample class of painting a butterfly, a rainbow butterfly, just like the one we do in this online class. I unfortunately did not get the job, but it's okay because doing that sample class gave me the idea of, well, I can teach more and more on my own online, and I can reach a lot of people online, I think. So that's what sparked this idea for me, and I started coming up with other just little free classes here and there, simple ideas of, you know, I felt this need to like show what I know about painting to other people and to share the enjoyment of painting with other people, to show other people that you don't have to have this like natural talent. Like, you can come on this journey with me and I will show you what I know and I will help you get to where you want to go. And I'm going to help you learn this new hobby, this new skill, and show you what the joy of art is really all about. So that's like my whole elevator pitch. Choosing me as your class instructor here on YouTube. So if you haven't already taken painting classes with me here on YouTube, go on ahead and try. I've got a lot of free ones. And doing the free ones made me discover that I could also do even more and more and more, which is where I decided to start doing the premium painting classes and starting my own academy, which I call Canvas Academy, on my own website on carrieLynnM.com, which I've always had anyway because I'm also an author, and also I had some of my Etsy paintings on here for a while. But I discovered that creating Canvas Academy was a really great way for me to connect with even more and more of you lovely painters out there and showing you in-depth skills with so many different classes and classes grouped together that I've called courses. One of my absolute favorites that I've gotten to do so far is the How to Paint Portraits for Beginners course, because I break things down step by step how to paint a face, because I love painting faces so much, if you haven't already figured that out. And again, I just love sharing the skills that I've learned over time in my own journey with all of you and with all the painters around the world, and just seeing what you guys create and seeing, it gives me such satisfaction as an instructor to see how it helps you guys and how it shows you guys how much you can enjoy painting, even if you've never done it before, even if you didn't think you could. And to just share the feeling I get from painting with all of you as well. Now, what the future probably is going to look like for me is a lot more painting, a lot more in store. I'm still gonna do my paintings, selling things on Etsy. However, I am starting to get into this new phase of products for my Etsy that have my painted designs on them. So I can take one painting and it's like making more and more copies of it, because sometimes, I mean, let's be honest, sometimes I kind of run out of painting ideas to sell, one-off paintings. So I've learned that I can take, you know, a painting that I really like making, and I can take that design, and I'm also been getting really into sewing lately because that's another skill that I have, and I've learned that I can sew things like bags and stuff, and then I can make copies of those paintings I've already done and put them on the bags. And I found that this is actually really nice for a lot of customers on Etsy, because it's like things that they can really use in their day-to-day life. So I think that's what's in store for my future as an artist, is I'm going to be doing a lot more of copying pictures that I paint myself and adding them to such items on Etsy and stuff, and also teaching more classes on Canvas Academy. I'm like loving the feeling of being an instructor on my Canvas Academy painting platform. I'm so excited about it. Oh, and one other thing, I have a book coming out. Just a little drop in there, a little bit of a hint. You guys are going to be the first to know right here. You heard it first. I am making a whole book on how to paint for beginners. It's all the things encompassed in Canvas Academy and more. And I'm so excited to finally bring something to you guys in book form on how to paint for yourselves. Because if you guys didn't already know, like I mentioned before, I'm also an author. I've also self-published fiction books, but this is going to be my first non-fiction book, and I'm combining my love of writing, and I did tell you guys I have an English degree, so I love writing as well. So my love of writing with the love of painting, I'm putting it together to create a guide, a whole guidebook for you guys that I think you're going to love so much. And I've been working really hard on it. I'm so excited to share it with you guys once I get things a little bit more finalized and ready to start publishing. So that is kind of my complete artist journey. I know it was really long, but it's all the things that I've been through in the past, again, like 15 plus years of being an artist, being a painter, and yeah, just showing you guys, you know, there's gonna be a lot of points in your own artist journey that are gonna be very memorable for you, hopefully, someday, and that you're going to grow so much as an artist each and every day. Every single painting you create, every single day you sit down and practice is going to add up over time, and you're going to progress again on this journey as an artist. And it might go hand in hand with things you're going through, like in general life too. But the thing is, art is always going to be there for you. It's always going to be that creative outlet that you can come back to time and time again. And that's really, really important, and I hope you guys do remember that. So again, I hope you enjoy listening. I know this was kind of a long spiel about my artist journey, but if you guys liked it, let me know. Be sure to check out some of my free painting classes here on YouTube and over on my Canvas Academy painting platform. And I hope to see you all in the future very soon, my fellow artists.